October 26, 1978. Security Pacific National Bank, Los Angeles. 3:47 p.m. A man in a cheap suit walks through the bank's computer room. Wire-rimmed glasses, thinning hair combed to hide the bald spots, soft voice that never rises above a murmur. The kind of person you'd forget 5 seconds after meeting him. He's carrying a clipboard. It makes him look official, like he belongs here. Security doesn't stop him. The receptionist waves him through with a smile.
Hey, Stanley. Fixing the mainframe again?
Just routine maintenance.
The computer operators barely look up. He's been here dozens of times. Stanley Rifkin, the IT consultant, the guy who understands the computers better than anyone. He's trusted, invisible. In 1978, computer rooms are sacred spaces, climate-controlled, access restricted. But Stanley has a badge. Stanley has clearance. Stanley has spent months building trust. He walks past rows of IBM mainframe computers, tape drives spinning, lights blinking. The nerve center of one of America's largest banks. His eyes scan the room professionally, like he's looking for a problem to solve. Then he sees it, on the wall, next to the main terminal. Written on paper taped up with yellowing Scotch tape. A code. Not just any code. The code. The daily authorization code that allows Security Pacific National Bank to transfer millions of dollars between accounts. The code that changes every 24 hours. The code that only senior employees are supposed to know. And it's just hanging there, on the wall. The bank spent millions on computer security, firewalls, encryption, access controls, guards, badges, protocols. But they left the most important password taped to the wall. Stanley looks at it for exactly 3 seconds. His photographic memory captures every digit. Code 4, 7, 8, 9. 4 numbers that will unlock $10.2 million. He turns and walks out. Same calm expression, same forgettable demeanor. Nobody notices his accelerating heartbeat. Nobody sees the slight tremor in his hands. At 4:15 p.m., Stanley Rifkin walks out of Security Pacific National Bank for the last time as an honest IT consultant. By 4:30 p.m., he will execute the largest bank robbery in American history, and the bank won't even know they've been robbed. Who was Stanley Mark Rifkin? Born March 7, 1946, Los Angeles. Middle-class family, completely ordinary suburban upbringing. Except Stanley wasn't ordinary. As a kid, he solved math problems in his head while other students read the question. He finished tests in half the time with perfect scores. Teachers called him gifted. Other kids called him weird. He didn't fit in, couldn't read social cues, preferred machines to humans because machines were logical, predictable. They didn't judge. High school was torture, not because of grades, those were perfect, but no dates, no friends, no parties. Just Stanley and his books and his growing fascination with computers. At UCLA, he studied computer science when it barely existed as a field. His professors thought he'd become a leading researcher. Instead, he became a consultant. In 1976, at age 30, Stanley founded his own company, Stanley Mark Rifkin and Associates. Computer consulting, system maintenance. He serviced computer systems for various businesses and banks. You'd never notice him. Stanley had spent his life being invisible. The kid nobody remembered. The adult nobody paid attention to. He could walk into a room and people would forget he was there. For most of his life, this was painful. But around 1977, Stanley realized something. Invisibility wasn't a weakness. It was a superpower. Summer 1978. Months before. Stanley researched in the UCLA library. Books about money laundering, criminal finance, international currency movements. The problem? You can't steal $10 million and deposit it. The IRS would notice. The FBI would investigate. You'd be caught. You need to convert the money into something else. Something portable, valuable, untraceable. Gold? Too heavy? Too regulated. Real estate? Too slow. Too much paperwork. Art? Too unique. Too traceable. Then Stanley read about international diamond trading, how diamonds are untraceable once removed from settings, how the Soviet Union sold high-quality diamonds for American currency, no questions asked. Perfect. Stanley contacted a Los Angeles jewelry dealer. Lou specialized in wholesale diamonds.
I'm interested in buying large quantities.
How large?
Maybe $1 million worth, maybe more.
Lou didn't ask too many questions.
If you're looking at several million, talk to the Russians. Rus Al Maz. They've got access to massive supplies.
Stanley spent weeks researching Rus Al Maz, Soviet diamond export company, based in Moscow but did business through Europe. Switzerland was a major hub. In August 1978, Stanley called Rus Al Maz's Geneva office.
I'm an American investor interested in purchasing high-quality diamonds in bulk.
How much are you looking to invest?
$8 to $10 million.
No pause.
We can arrange that.
Meetings arranged, preliminary discussions. Stanley built credibility. When the time came, the transaction would go smoothly. Meanwhile, he opened accounts in New York under fake names, created paper trails, researched wire transfer protocols. The shocking discovery. In 1978, if you had the right code and sounded confident, you could move millions with a phone call. By October 1978, every piece was in place. All he needed was the code. October 26, 1978, 4:30 p.m. Stanley's office. Stanley sits at his desk. The code burns in his mind. 4, 7, 8, 9. His hand trembles as he reaches for the phone. This is the moment that separates theory from reality. He picks up the phone, dials Security Pacific's wire transfer department. 1 ring, 2 rings. His heart pounds. A woman answers.
Wire transfers, how can I help you?
Stanley's voice comes out steady. Not Stanley anymore. He's Mike Hansen now.
Hi, this is Mike Hansen from International. I need to process a wire transfer.
Sure, Mike. Authorization code?
This is it. If the code is wrong, his life is over.
4, 7, 8, 9.
Half a second pause. She's checking the code.
Verified. What's the transfer?
Stanley exhales silently.
$10,200,000 to Irving Trust Company, New York.
He reads the account number. His account. The woman types. No hesitation. No questions. The code is correct, so the transfer is legitimate.
Processing done. Transfer will complete within the hour.
Thank you.
Click. 3 minutes and 47 seconds. $10,200,000 stolen. 1 phone call. At Security Pacific, the wire transfer processes like any other. $10.2 million moves from the bank to New York. Nobody flags it. Nobody verifies. Nobody thinks twice. Why would they? The code was correct. Stanley hangs up and sits in silence. His hands are shaking violently now. The adrenaline crashes through his system like electricity. He just committed a federal crime, wire fraud, bank theft, decades in prison if caught. But he also just proved his theory correct. The banking system, this massive, complex, supposedly secure infrastructure that moves billions of dollars daily, is vulnerable to a simple exploit. A social engineering attack. A confident voice and 4 numbers. Stanley allows himself 60 seconds to process what just happened. Then he moves to step 4. He calls Irving Trust in New York, confirms the incoming transfer is processing, arranges for access to the funds tomorrow. Everything is moving according to plan. That night, Stanley doesn't celebrate, doesn't tell anyone, just sits in his apartment thinking through the next steps. The money will hit Irving Trust by morning. He'll need to move fast, withdraw some cash, wire the bulk to Switzerland for the diamond purchase, leave no time for anyone to notice the discrepancy. Speed is crucial. The longer the money sits in one place, the more likely someone reviews the transaction, asks questions, notices something wrong. By morning, Stanley needs to be in New York. By afternoon, the money needs to be moving to Switzerland. By the end of the week, it needs to be converted to diamonds and out of the banking system entirely. 1 week to transform $10.2 million in stolen cash into untraceable assets. If he pulls this off, he'll be rich and invisible. If he fails, he'll spend the next 20 years in federal prison. Stanley barely sleeps. His mind races through scenarios, contingencies, backup plans. At 6 a.m., he's on a flight to New York. Stanley just completed the largest bank robbery in American history, without touching a weapon, without breaking a window, without anyone knowing a crime occurred. October 27th. The next morning, Security Pacific opens for business. Tellers serve customers. Computers hum. Nobody notices $10.2 million is missing. Meanwhile, Stanley is on a flight to New York. He lands at JFK, takes a cab to Irving Trust, presents fake ID. David Cooper. The teller checks the balance. $10.2 million. Her eyes widen, but she stays professional.
I need 50,000 cash, and the rest wired to Switzerland.
October 29th. Geneva, Switzerland. Stanley meets Rusalma's representatives at a hotel overlooking Lake Geneva. 2 Soviet officials, 1 translator. Very serious. They present 43,200 carats of high-quality diamonds, various sizes, various clarity. Stanley inspects them with a jeweler's loupe. He has no idea what he's looking at, but he pretends he does. Price: $8.145 million. Already wired. They hand him a leather briefcase. Inside, 43,200 carats. Less than 10 pounds. $8 million that fits in a small case. Perfect. October 30th. Geneva Airport. Stanley approaches customs with a diamond-filled briefcase. If they inspect the bag, if they ask questions, the customs officer stamps his passport, waves him through. No inspection. No questions. Stanley boards his flight to Los Angeles. He's done it. He's converted $10.2 million into untraceable diamonds, smuggled them through customs. Back home, he places the briefcase in his closet. For the first time since seeing that code, he allows himself to smile. All he needs to do now is sell the diamonds slowly. Never raise suspicion, just gradually become wealthy. Simple. What could go wrong? Meanwhile, at Security Pacific, an accountant is running a routine audit. He notices an unusual $10.2 million transfer. Calls International to verify.
We didn't authorize that.
At 3:47 p.m. on October 30th, 4 days after the robbery, the bank finally realizes they've been robbed. They immediately call the FBI. November 1st, 1978. FBI Special Agent Norman White leads the investigation. He's seen bank fraud before, but nothing like this. The code was posted in the computer room. On the wall, available to anyone with access. They pull a list, 20 names. Most are employees. 3 are external consultants. 1 name stands out, Stanley Mark Rifkin, computer consultant. Access to the room on October 26th. No criminal record. But being in the room isn't proof. They need more evidence. Meanwhile, Stanley is making moves to sell the diamonds. He sells a small batch in LA, $50,000 worth. No problems. He decides to expand. New York makes sense. Bigger market. Stanley has a contact there. Paul O'Brien. Not close friends, but friendly acquaintances. Paul dabbled in jewelry. Stanley calls from a payphone.
Hey, Paul, I've got a business opportunity. Can we meet?
November 3rd, New York City. They meet at a coffee shop. Stanley shows diamonds. High quality. Hundreds of thousands of dollars worth.
I can offer $500,000 for $400,000.
Paul examines them. They're genuine, but something bothers him.
Let me think about it.
That evening, Paul turns on the television.
We begin tonight with a major developing story out of Los Angeles.
The FBI is investigating massive bank fraud at Security Pacific National Bank.
Paul's blood freezes. Stanley, Los Angeles, suddenly having millions in diamonds. Acting nervous, Paul O'Brien sits in his Manhattan apartment, staring at the TV screen. The news anchor continues.
FBI agents are pursuing multiple leads. The perpetrator is believed to have inside knowledge of the bank's security systems. Anyone with information should contact.
Paul's mind races. Could it really be Stanley? The awkward guy who couldn't maintain eye contact? Who spoke so softly you had to lean in to hear him? But the pieces fit too perfectly. Stanley worked with banks. Stanley understood computer systems. Stanley would know exactly how to exploit security vulnerabilities. Paul picks up the phone, dials the FBI tip line.
I think I know who robbed Security Pacific Bank.
The agent on the other end sounds skeptical. They've been getting dozens of tips. Most are worthless.
What's your information?
I met with someone 2 days ago who tried to sell me diamonds. Lots of them. High quality.
Below market value. The timing matches. He's from Los Angeles. He works with computers and banks.
The agent's tone changes.
What's his name?
Stanley Rifkin.
Silence on the other end.
Stay where you are. We'll send agents to interview you immediately.
Within hours, Paul is sitting in an FBI office providing everything he knows. Stanley's contact information, description of the diamonds, details about their meeting. The agents already had Stanley on their watch list. This confirms their suspicions. They mobilize immediately. November 5th, 1978, 6:47 a.m., Carlsbad, California. Stanley is sleeping at a friend's house. The diamonds hidden in his luggage. $12,000 cash in his wallet. The knock is professional. Firm.
FBI, open the door.
Federal agents pour inside. They find Stanley in the guest bedroom. Confused, disoriented.
Stanley Mark Rifkin, you're under arrest.
He doesn't run. Doesn't resist.
Where are the diamonds?
Stanley points to his suitcase. Agent Norman White opens it. There they are. 43,200 carats. Worth millions. At FBI headquarters, Stanley is cooperative. Calm. Almost relieved.
How did you get the code?
It was written on the wall.
Did you think you'd get away with it?
I almost did.
In March 1979, Stanley stood before a judge.
Mr. Rifkin, why did you do this?
To see if I could.
Sentence: 8 years in federal prison. Was he a criminal? Yes. Was he a genius? That's harder to deny. The man who robbed a bank without breaking in. Who stole millions without touching money. Who almost got away with the perfect crime. Almost. Because he made the same mistake every criminal makes. He trusted someone.